So, Joanne, welcome to our little get together. We comb the globe for all angels wherever they may be, and you are in Canada, I believe, aren't
Yep.
you?
Yep. About 2 hours east of Toronto. Yeah.
Right. And you have your experience recently with going to a couple of Angelina Jordan concerts, haven't you?
Yep. I saw her in for both concerts in Vegas and I was in Portsmouth too. Yeah.
Wow,
Right.
you're a true fan then.
Yeah. But I'm not going to London. I hear you are.
Well, I
Alan
am.
is, yeah.
You are in London,
It,
right? Yeah.
no, I'm in Bristol, which is about 100 miles away,
Oh, okay.
and she could not really be anywhere nearer to me than only 100 miles. And even though she's only doing one, maybe two songs, it's a no-brainer. I have no choice, but I do have to go.
Yeah, I understand
And
that.
if I'm lucky, I will make a video of the song. But more importantly, I'm hoping to catch a fish with an interview. I'm hoping to randomly get some person, either a fan or someone part of the team. But I'll have my eyes and ears open to see what I can do.
But
Aw.
maybe you can interview Angelina herself.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, I doubt I'll have anything resembling access. And to be honest, I think Mary would be very, very interesting to talk to.
Yeah, of course. But you, Joanne, you've met with Angelina, haven't you?
Yeah, I met her at both concerts. Yeah, it's nice.
Wow.
And I got to meet her and I met Sarah at both of them. Sarah came out before the concert and was talking to everybody, just lovely, lovely, hugging and just a very warm people they are. I didn't get to meet Mary, but in Vegas I got to meet Michael. That was kind of cool.
Did you talk much with him?
Yep, I was actually buying a tote bag to get her to sign at the meet and greet, and he was there by himself. And I was like, "Oh, hi!" And I didn't know if he was going to talk to me because the first time I met him in Portsmouth, and we were standing there talking to Angelina and Sarah, and he was just in the background, not joining in or anything. So I kind of just felt like he wasn't going to be very receptive. And I saw him there and he turned to me and he said, "I think you were in Portsmouth, weren't you?" And I said, "Yes." And then he asked me if I thought the sound was better at Vegas because they had like a little bit of a sound problem at Portsmouth. And it wasn't so bad. It was dependent on where you were in the arena. I was off to her right side, right in front of the saxophone player. So for a lot of the songs, the sax was kind of drowning her out. And
Oh,
other people were saying that the drums were drowning her out. So at the second concert, they had a screen protected around it, like a sound barrier, and they had the drums like raised off the stage at the back. She was out front and everybody was out back, and it was much, much better. Yeah. And then I just mentioned to him, I said, everybody's like freaking out because she's not like this superstar yet. And I said, but she's going to get there. Like, we don't have to do anything. It's just going to happen. And he goes, exactly. He said, there's no pushing it. And he said, she wants it. She's hungry. And he said, we got to reel her in a little bit.
so he's sort of like slowing her down.
Yeah, I think so. Because I think
Yeah,
she's just eager just to get out there. He said she wants to perform and she's ready, right? But
yeah,
like, I don't
yeah,
want to jump into something. And I did mention to him, I said, it's nice that she's doing smaller shows because maybe in some people's eyes, that's not as successful because she's only singing to 800 people or 1,000 people versus 10,000. But I said, it's a real treat for the fans to be able to have that kind of experience,
yeah.
to actually be there.
We had a guest, Robert Palmer. He
Oh,
was
yeah, I
on,
met him in
yeah,
Vegas.
yeah, he's very
Yeah.
nice gentleman. He said something about that he got the impression that she was looking directly at him in the
Oh,
concert. Did you get that as well?
I don't think she was looking directly at me, but I think that she was really concentrating on trying to look out to the crowd, right? So,
Yeah,
because I think when she's in her thing, she's not looking at us. Like, you'll see she tips her head up and closes her eyes when she's really into the music. And
yeah,
people have criticized her about that, but I'm like, no, like, if that's where she feels the music, like, I think that she should be herself. I don't think she
yeah,
needs to
yeah,
engage with me. I'm there to listen to her sing. I'm not there for her to look
yeah.
at me.
These days, I've also got the impression that people are complaining about her mimics, that she do these faces when she sings.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, what are you complaining about? I mean, this is the most amazing voice we've ever heard, and you're complaining about how she looks.
I don't care. She could get out there and stick her tongue out me.
Yeah.
I like not even
Yeah,
look at me. I
exactly.
don't care. I'm coming to listen to her, right? I'm not going there for her to look at me during the concert. I'm going there to listen and feel the music.
And how do you feel the music, Joanne?
When I first heard her, like she just blew me away. I have a lot of health issues and I have a lot of chronic pain in my joints. And I was having a really bad day. I was exhausted from work and my daughter was leaving to go to her dad's and I'm just like, she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just going to get in my pajamas, order some Chinese food and I'm just going to watch some music." And so I ordered the Chinese food, had a hot shower, got in my pajamas and clicked on YouTube, and I like to watch Golden Buzz or America's Got Talent, and up comes Angelina, and my jaw just hit the floor. I was like, "What am I watching?" Like, I was just like blown away. Like, I couldn't believe that that voice was coming out of a 13-year-old girl. And I was just mesmerized, and I forgot all about my pain. My pain went away, either whether I was distracted or what it was. But I mean, I was like into this so much that I was just looking on YouTube, looking for anything else I can find on her. And I'm just watching and watching the music and then realized that I went down the rabbit hole for a couple hours and my Chinese food was like cold on my step because I completely forgot about it. And then I went out to get it. I had to like heat it up. And I think I stayed up till like 2 o'clock in the morning watching the videos and then went to bed and woke up the next morning like first thing in the morning. Well, I got to get up and I got to find some more videos. That whole weekend was just lost watching her. And I thought, I'm going back. And then I realized she had won Norway's Got Talent. So I thought, I want to find that. So I went all the way to the back and I started coming forward. And then I came across your video where you were, I think it was an Adele song, and you were almost in tears. And I was just like laughing my head off. I was like, "Oh God, look at this little girl bringing all these men to tears. Like, this is something." Like, wow, like the power in her voice. And then the more I watched her, the more I loved the music. But then the more I found out about her and like why she sings barefoot. And I just think she's an amazing person for her age. I'm a nurse. And so I've always thought that I wanted to help people. But like, I'm 54 years old now and think I like to think that I try to give back to the community and do things, but she's done more for the world at her age than I have done in my life. And it's not just because she's talented. It's because she sings with her heart. And there was an interview where she said, "I'm here for you." And I really believe that when people are down, they just got to turn that on and it's just an escape, like reading a book, but it's more than that.
A lot of people go down the rabbit hole, but it sounds like you went down the rabbit hole with jet propulsion.
Yeah.
You know, you went down the rabbit hole down to the bottom of it with like within
Yeah.
2 or 3 days. You were super quick about that.
And then I watched her on the Ellen show, and she said, "When I close my eyes, I go to a really beautiful place. Something about she could feel the love from the audience, and she just was trying to go to a place that was full of love and peace and hope." And I was just thinking, she takes us right with her. If you connect that way, you feel like you're going on a journey too, right? It's not just her.
When I sing, I go to another world. It's in the world. It's like endless. It's amazing.
What do you mean by endless?
It's like full of happiness, and I love. It's amazing.
I like music. I've listened to a lot of music and clack, but I've never gone to 2 concerts with the same people. She's like a very special human being, not just the singer.
My. So you've met her twice, have you?
Yeah. And I had all this stuff I wanted to say to her, but when I get up there, I'm like, "Hi." And then I'm like, I shouldn't be all starstruck like you, man. But I was talking to one of the other people at Vegas, and I was like, he's like, "I'm not going to be able to speak when I see her." And I'm like, and James Teal was in the lineup with me, and he had this big picture that he was getting her to sign. And I said, what did she say to you?" He goes, "I don't know. She signed my picture. That's all I care about." Like, he was just starstruck. It was so cute. I was just like, oh gosh. I'm like, "Wow, you man, you're all obsessed about this, this girl." And then when I get up there, I'm like, I can't talk to her either.
The wonderful thing about Angelina and her family is that they have put themselves out there enough so we all realize that they're not just an ordinary family, but they're an ordinary happy family.
Mhm.
And they don't have airs and graces, and there are no pretensions. And so I can understand that there's a certain type of awe and wonder when you meet them because she is a star. But she's just a normal person, just like you and me, and she has a particular talent.
And she treats everybody the same. Like, it doesn't matter if you're short and dumpy or like tall and all dressed up. She's just as gracious, and her mom too. They're just as gracious to everybody. And I
Yeah,
see her
yeah.
mom like hugging and saying, "Thank you for coming."
If you was able to just relax and just have a nice conversation with her, what would you ask her and what would you talk about?
I just tell her that I'm really proud of her, that she wants to help people. And it's not just about like getting famous in music. They're doing all this humanitarian stuff. And I think that's like giving back. And I think that's fabulous. But I see her as being like this person who is way mature beyond her years, and she's a giver. I just hope that, there's going to be people out there that's going to be really jealous of what she has and that already are. And there's going to be the haters, right? And you see them already on there. Well, she's not so great. And I just want her to feel like, like not everyone's going to love her, and it's going to be their problem, not hers. And I don't want her to take things personally, and hope that if she needs something, she has somebody to reach out to, and she's not always thinking that she's got to be giving to everybody, because life can be kind of crappy sometimes, right? And she's in the spotlight, so the sooner she gets in there where everybody knows her, there's going to be people saying, well, she's not so hot, or she's not this. I just don't want her to take that to heart, because that's only going to be coming from somebody who is either jealous or has their own issues, right? Because
Yeah.
when someone says something bad about you, it usually says more about them than it does about you.
I think she is sound enough and together enough to have established a certain type of inner protection. I don't think she's like a leaf in a storm blowing this way and that. I think in her own way, despite her only being 18 years, I think psychologically she's really solid, and she's focused. She's focused on this wonderful talent that she has and her need to sing and her need to communicate. And she wants that to develop in a certain way. It's not necessarily that she wants to be a superstar, but she just wants her career to progress where she more and more has a platform where she can extend herself out and reach more people.
I think so. And I like that she writes her songs are very inspirational.
Yeah.
The lyrics in her book, like, I want to love the person looking back in the mirror, like, and
Yeah.
that's such a concept for a young person to already grasp, because sometimes it takes
Yeah.
people years and years to realize, like, that you got to love yourself no matter what happens.
And look at the song Million Miles,
Yeah.
how much that has meant to people, and the timing of that coming right into COVID, and a lot of people that had grief. That really helps. I don't know how many people she has helped with that song alone.
Yeah. And I met people at Vegas too, said stories like mine, saying like, I can listen to her and I can be distracted from my pain. I don't feel my pain, but other people who have lost loved ones, and they said that she's got them through some really difficult times just through her music.
Do you remember there was a moment where she was on Norway's Got Talent where she was talking about a woman who said that she cried, and Angelina said, "I'm sorry," and then the woman gave her a hug.
Det var en gammel dame, og så sa hun at jeg ble rørt. Og så sa jeg det var ikke meningen. Da klemte hun meg.
Well, the question I would ask 18-year-old Angelina Jordan is, do you realize now how people react to your music? It's the basis of why Pontus and I do the podcast, so people can elaborate on that. But I wonder how she sees it from her end. If she realizes the type of theme that is coming out in these podcasts, if she realizes the impact that she has on people emotionally and how it changes their world. That would be a very interesting question to ask Angelina.
Yeah, and when I talked to Sarah the first time, I told her that. I said, she's touching people in a way that most musicians can't. She is making an impact on the world, and she's only this young. We need more people like her in the world.
What did Sarah say to that? Did
And she just
give
like said, "Oh, thank you. Like that means so much to me." And I'm like, "Well, you must hear it from other people because it's happening. Like she's inspiring so many people and getting people through very difficult times. And she probably has no idea how much she's touching people."
Do you have any other artist in your life, Joanne, that has a similar effect?
Not really. I mean, I really like Pentatonics, and I was kind of like, I used to listen to them, and I have all their CDs. At the Christmas time, I was driving my family crazy with all the Pentatonics.
Well, your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty in the moonlight overthrew you.
But not to the point where if they were playing in London, I would get on a plane and drive all the way to see them. Like if they were in Toronto, I'd be like, okay, if they're in Toronto, I'll go, but I'm not going to fly across the world to see them. It's just, I don't know, it's different with her.
I mean, I'm still a really big fan of the music that a Greek composer, Vangelis, has put out, and I can listen to that all day. And it's really great, but it doesn't make me feel different in a way.
That's right.
Like Angelina, she makes me want to be something else, and she makes me think of things that I haven't thought before. And I think that is one of the key aspects that is quite different when it comes to Angelina and every other artist that I have experienced.
There's something different about her. Like you feel you're connecting with her soul when she's singing. Like
Yes.
it's not just, wow, she's talented. It's like, whoa, it's something more than that. It's something.
Yeah, she moves you.
I used to have that in church. Whenever I would hear a Bach organ fugue, as soon as it started, I would go off into some type of dream or reverie. It would just drift and take me somewhere. But it did not have the hangover effect of Angelina. It was just for that moment, then the music stopped and I would come back to reality. But Angelina Jordan is different again. But I'm sure Angelina has been compared to many, many different artists and different types of music. I wonder if she's often been compared to Bach organ fugues.
There's also certain voices in music, certain artists that you can hear their voice and say, wow, that's a nice sound. And for me, coming from Sweden, I really enjoy ABBA, the two voices coming together in a perfect way when they sing. And there are other artists like that, but again, it's in the moment when you hear it, and then it has no lasting effect on you like Angelina has. And I know when you haven't heard Angelina for a while and you start up a song, it's like a revelation. Oh yes, that's the sound. It's almost like you tend to almost like downplay how great she is. You can't even fathom how great she is, even though you have heard her 1,000 times. And still, it's like, just, it hits you.
Yeah, like she's been compared to Michael Jackson and saying that she was better than Michael Jackson at the age when he was young. And if you compare Michael Jackson and her at 8, like she's like was way above where he was. So where's she going to go with this?
I think at this point, I have to say, it's not about the music. It's about the impact of the music.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to do with the technique. It's something else which may very well be indefinable. but it's the impact which is just something very special. And it's an impact which is different than other singers generate. It's a mystery, but more and more people, especially people in the business. I was watching Toby Gad do a live stream a couple of days ago, and I was watching him play the piano while she was singing, and he got very animated while he was playing the piano, and I could see that in his own way he appreciates her as much as you and I do.
I saw that too. It was amazing. The people in that audience too, I don't think they knew who she were, but I'm sure they were blown away. Like you could just tell. Save the best for last there. They had that thing on there and I was just like, wow.
And of course, we have the very famous musicians that accompanied her on her Christmas concert, and they were also really, really impressed with her and saying great things about her. And they have been in the business for I don't know how many years.
You're one of the most amazing talents I've seen come along in my career.
God, thank you
And I've been
so
doing
much.
I've been doing this a while. You're fabulous.
And you are like 5-time Grammy nominated? Is that what
I am.
What a compliment I want to give you, Angelina. This is the first time we've met and worked together. But, and I'm not exaggerating this, you have a gift for storytelling. And the greatest singers that we've worked with, Bublé, certainly Ella Fitzgerald, certainly Frank Sinatra, for me, Luther Vandross, if you remember Luther, basically they were wired so that whatever they said, they meant. And Frank famously said, I never let my singing get in the way of my storytelling. And I was really impressed. You've got a natural musical ability, but for me, it's the ability to tell a story. And you do it so organically and it's effortless. And I know Chuck feels the same way. You're just such a giant talent. And
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Greg.
So there is something that is very, very special, and I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience that we are actually witnessing now. And it's so amazing to have this continuous something to look forward to almost each day with her sort of evolution.
Yeah. I remember, Pontus, about 2 or 3 years ago, you did a graph of different levels of fame with Angelina and Billie Eilish. And I was very struck by that because there are so many different plateaus of fame before you get to be like an Adele or Amy Winehouse. I mean, Adele and Amy Winehouse, you know, their names are probably known in China and India. They're probably people on the moon who know those names. But Angelina is still very many steps away from that, because if you walk down the street, the average person will never have heard of Angelina Jordan.
But these days, it's like Taylor Swift that you're comparing to, right? She actually had a concert in Sweden. I think she's in Sweden right now and having a few concerts, and people are blown away. And I'm just thinking, oh, you just wait. You haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different factors. There's talent, but there's also marketing, and there's also luck. And, you know, sometimes luck can be a bit of a factor, but in terms of talent, and it's not just talent, it's the impact of the talent. You know, we keep going back to that word impact. For me, that's what makes Angelina Jordan unique. It's the nature of the impact that she has.
And also when we're comparing to other artists, there's also the time factor, of course. She's just beginning, although she has been singing for so long, but she's just beginning now with her career. And those other artists, they have a lot of albums behind them.
But I think it was a very good move to go to LA, because now that she's there, she has contact with the industry, and she's at the doorstep, and she's schmoozling with all the necessary people. So, Joanne, you're not coming to London to hear Angelina sing one song, are you?
No, I you know, and when I did tell her when we were in Vegas, I said something like, you know, I'll come to every concert, but you got to give me more notice. Like, it was like a month notice for Vegas.
We only had 10 days notice for London.
Yeah.
But someone suggested, and I think it's a very valid suggestion, that maybe once Toby was working with her, maybe he just turned to her and he said, right, I'm going to London, you have to come with me. So maybe it was just very short notice because it was just that spontaneous. And she and or her team have a very keen sense of being in the right place at the right time and understanding the nature of promotion.
And I want to bring my 17-year-old with me next time. And her passport was expired, so we didn't have time to get it renewed before. I didn't really want to take her to Vegas. I wanted to take her to Portsmouth, but Vegas isn't really a place to bring your 17-year-old daughter to. Vegas isn't really my thing. The only reason I went to Vegas was to see Angelina. Maybe she should try to go to Greece or somewhere nice. Somewhere really nice I want to visit would be nice. I'll give her some suggestions.
But from what I heard, rather than Vegas corrupting the Angels lifted Vegas up out of the mud.
The venue itself in Vegas was...
it was spectacular, yeah. And the band was really good. But honestly, she doesn't need a band. Like, to me, just her and a piano or just her and a guitar and we'd all be ecstatic.
Or just her and a garage somewhere.
Sounds better than most things that are on the radio.
I thought I understood jazz before I heard Angelina, but now I understand jazz so much better because every song is slightly different. She's so inventive and creative, and all options are open all the time at every moment.
She just continues to surprise us. So I think talent-wise, she's just going to keep growing, much more than we can even imagine. But the fact that she's such this beautiful person, I don't think that's ever going to change. She's been like that since she was 10, and she has really two strong women, her mom and her grandmother, that that humanitarian was in her life before she even started singing. I think it came from them, and they're really down-to-earth people, and I think that she's going to stay grounded, so that's really good.
I actually thought of one question that I would like to ask her, and that is if she could evaluate her own abilities as a singer right now, and to say how much do you think you can develop even further? What's the area that you yourself think, I need to be a little bit better at that or this? That would be interesting to see.
That's a very good question, but you might hit a very big patch of modesty in her.
Yeah, of course. I only sing in the shower.
I think she's a perfectionist for sure. I'm sure that she must practice a lot and a lot, because when you hear her, it's like every song, every word is thought out. It's not just, I'm going to go up there and sing and put a few little things in there, but you hear the nuances of every word she's singing, and it's different.
Yeah. But at the same time, she's also... Okay, we got a visitor.
If I were to speak to Toby Gad, who is writing songs with Angelina, I would love to hear about how the songwriting process plays out, whether she has an idea or whether she has the lyrics, and when there are two people, how that works, especially because if she's written 100 songs, maybe she brings a song to him and they thrash it out together. There's so many possibilities when you're writing a song with someone else.
Bad Valentine. I don't know where that came from.
So, Joanne, does your daughter like Angelina?
Oh, yeah, she does. But the funny thing is before Portsmouth, I had really just kind of discovered, not much before that, and she just knew this was the girl that I was obsessed with watching, but she hadn't really paid much attention. And I was like, do you want to call a concert? And she's like, no, you're going to go over, meet all those fans, and it'll just be weird. But then she heard the new album when it came out, and she was like, oh my gosh, I wish I was going. And it was just before we went, and she's like, her songs are really good. And she goes, if you weren't so obsessed with her, I would love to go. And then by the time I was going to Vegas, she was jealous. She's like, I want to go. So next one, I'll probably take her.
But she's 17, is she?
She's 17. And my daughter and I think Angelina are kind of similar in some ways. My daughter's really old-fashioned. She doesn't wear makeup. She's very modest. She thinks she should have grown up in the 1800s. She's not really into drink or to do anything. She reads a lot of books. She's just a very studious kind of girl, just not your typical teenage girl.
That's good to know that there are those girls as well, because I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I don't know what's going to happen.
I think that Angelina is a great role model for her age. She does her modeling, but every time she's very modest, and she's not out there singing about drinking. All her songs are very inspirational and appropriate.
But Angelina must have a massive wardrobe, because other than her AGT outfit, I've never seen her wear the same outfit twice.
No.
She's always dressed to the hilt, and she must have thousands and thousands of different outfits to wear.
But Alan, one could say the same thing about you. I mean, you're on this show and you're never wearing the same thing.
Well, I'm a functional sort of fellow, Pontus.
Did you know that Einstein, he had a wardrobe full of the same suits, the same colors, everything. Yeah. So he didn't have to make a decision what to wear. He just brought one out.
All my socks are black, so if I lose one, it doesn't matter.
Angelina's dress weighed something like 45 pounds, the one she sang.
Yeah, I heard.
And it was all mirrors. And at one point during the concert, she looked down and she's like, I just blinded myself. And she was like, and she looked down at her dress and got the reflection. They even had the guy that come out and was holding the dress for her. And it was pretty funny. Every time she would go back, he would run over and pick up her dress.
So, Joanne, how far would you travel for an Angelina concert? Would you go to Norway?
I would. I think I would.
We met a lot of Americans in Norway.
Chris Walker came from Hawaii, and there was Ron who came from Australia. The world is very small when it comes to Angelina Jordan.
I would love to see her come to Canada. She said she was going to.
Joanne, you've been to 3 concerts.
Yeah.
And so how would you describe the difference in feeling when it comes to listening to a recording and listening to her live?
Well, you expect somebody not to be as good live as they are in a recording. But when you get there, you realize she's even better in person. I've been to concerts before, and I don't expect them to sound like a record. But for the most part, though, she doesn't need all that hype. Whenever she was making her videos, it was just like her and a guy with a guitar, and they were singing and jamming. And I seen an interview with him, and he said it was like one take.
Of course, I know the song from before, and I think that was the first or the second take. We rarely do more than 2 takes.
It wasn't like they practiced and then they did the video. He'd go over, they'd jam, they would put it up as a YouTube video, and then somebody's recording it with a phone. And even, I don't know if you see all those incredible recordings there from the Vegas concert that James Teal put up, that was all done from people's cell phones. And he put a bunch of cell phones together and mixed it into that, which was pretty cool. The security guards kept stopping us because they said we weren't allowed to record a whole song. So in the first concert, Robert Palmer was sitting beside me, and he had a little microphone in his jacket, and the security guard could see the light on it, so he kept coming over and yelling at him to stop. And I was sitting there with my phone, and he was leaving me alone. But then, because he was kind of after Robert, and then the second one, I moved over and I was sitting beside James Teal, and I'm recording away, and nothing's happening to me because they're the security guard's right after him. He's probably I don't know if he recognized him. This is a YouTuber. We gotta shut him down every 5 minutes. Stop recording. And then finally, I'm still recording, and he looks at me, he goes, why are they letting you record? I'm like, I don't know, he can't see me, I don't know. So we switched phones for part of it, and I recorded with his phone for some of it because they were shutting him down. And then just left me alone. And he goes, I think my camera is a little better than yours. And I was looking over, and I could see Angelina crystal sharp in there, and mine's it was okay, but I'm like, yeah, it's way better. So we switched phones. It was pretty cool.
James is the ultimate techie. I mean, he gives me advice, and I'm all ears. He knows what he's talking about.
So you were talking about those recordings that Angelina did with both with Egil and with Ivan, and how there were just 1 or 2 takes. And that is, of course, another side of Angelina that is not the perfectionist, but rather the, I don't know what you call it, the spontaneous artist that just does wonderful things and doesn't really think a lot about, I mean, she can mess up the lyrics, and she just goes on, and she does these things in the parking garage.
Mom, everything got it on me. You can touch the sky, but you ain't got it on me. 'Cause I'm on top of the world. I'm on top of the world. Yeah. Woo, 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 scream. Yeah.
That's another side of it. But I'm still pretty certain that she looks at everything she does and analyze it afterwards and say, I can do this better.
If you have a meal cooked by a world-class chef and they make a mistake, you still want to eat it. It will still be spectacular even if the chef doesn't put enough salt.
But Michael told me that in between the two concerts, they were backstage and they were going over everything. Like they were going over trying to make the next one better. Oh, was the sound okay? They were spending that whole intermission there between the two shows of reviewing everything. I think she's a perfectionist. Yeah.
And also, it's a learning process also for the whole team, I think. I mean, they have never done a Vegas show before, so they of course, they learned a lot of things during those two concerts.
I wish I was going to London. She did hint that she may be going to London, right? So I was like, oh, I'm saving up. And then when she goes to London, I'm going to go. I wasn't expecting it to be so soon and not have such short notice. Like, I still work, so. And a friend of mine, Douglas, is going to be there. And I'm like, I can't jet set around the world like some people. Some of us still have to work.
New York is easy for me to get to. New York is relatively easy from England. Almost anywhere on the continent is easier than going to Norway because I have to drive 100 miles in England to get to an airport where I can fly to Norway. So to go to France or Italy would be much easier.
Let's see where we meet next time.
I love the smaller shows. I don't think I want to see her in 40,000 people. She could probably pull it off with her voice, but it just wouldn't be the same.
When the Beatles did Shea Stadium and they had 50,000 screaming fans, you couldn't hear them. But I think our fan base, where the average age is 60, they don't have the voice to scream. They'd like to scream, but they don't have the power.
At the concert, I kind of felt bad. Like, she would be like, I can't hear you. And then everybody would clap. And I'm like, well, like your crowd isn't like screaming 18-year-olds. We're really excited. We just don't scream and loud jump up like the young people do. You got to take it for what you're getting. Like, Angelina, this is it for us.
And I remember in Norway, she said, and this time I want to see you dance to this one.
And I was like, no, I don't want to see people dance. I want to see you sing. Nobody wants us old people up there dancing.
Well, Joanne, I think it's just a matter of time before the three of us will meet in person.
Yeah, I hope so.